So you're tired of nagging your son or daughter to go out and hit the bag. What to do? It happens, you know. If you're like more of like a lighthearted student, probably they're not going to be practicing a ton at home, but that person's pretty focused and really trying to get after it. You know, they're going to be working at home. Even if you go to class every day, you're going to be having some days where you need to go home and hit the bag, or you're having some trouble with something, you got to hammer it out, or maybe you're going to be rolling, with a dummy or rolling with a family member, whichever it may be. And so when you find that you have to nag, we're kind of robbing them of something. It's just a little bit of a Bill Hicks thing. He's a comedian from like the 90s. Dating myself a little bit there. And so one of the things that he said at the end of one of his specials, and I think it's actually very true, is that they're kind of primary to most people, I think to everyone. There's one of two motivators you're going to have at any given time, and it's very binary. It's one or the other. It's fear or it's love. It's going to be one of the two. If you're being motivated by love or fear, you can still do the same thing, right? So if you're nagging, then what you're doing is you're motivating them to do it just to avoid pain, right? Because you're just hammering them and it's this pain in their ear, and it's, they're feeling shamed or guilty, or I'm letting somebody down. So now you've got that. Now they'll go out and practice. They'll go hit the bag. If you really hammer them and make it just truly an awful thing, they'll get off their rear end and they'll go out and smack the bag. And there's not going to be a lot of joy. They're not going to fire those kicks out like we had hoped. Not going to get a lot of hip in that punch. It's going to be, they're going to do the bare minimum. I feel like I'm about to quote that old movie Office Space.
We need to talk about your flair.
I'm really dating myself today with this one.
Now, if you feel that the bare minimum is enough, then okay.
They'll do just enough not to get fired. It's that same kind of thing, isn't it, right?
That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled.
So we have to use a different tool. And it's tougher. It's hard. If you're trying to I just want them to care and to do it right. The best intentions, but we just trip all over ourselves. So we have to appeal to something else. We have to appeal to their need to be better, their desire to be better. And we have to be careful. Sometimes we'll say, hey, if you can do this, we'll go out and get pizza.
Great toppings. Now get one.
Or we'll go out and get ice cream. Or I'll buy you the thing, or an extra hour of tablet time, whatever the thing may be. And I think there are times where maybe that's appropriate. Like, if they just took like a big tournament, hey, let's go out and get pizza. Cool. Just reward them for doing the tournament. Yeah, that's fine. But I think what we have to do is we have to try to build in them a love of the process, a love of learning the thing, refining it, cleaning it up, and moving forward. If they feel connected to the outcome, hey, I want to do well at this tournament, then I think that means a lot more. I think if we can speak to their potential, then we say to them, look, you're talented, you're capable, but all the talent in the world's no good if you don't take and sharpen that tool and make it clean and make it really work. And that's really, I think, what we have to do, rather than to make their lives this like little prison. We have to appeal to their better characteristics and say, look, you're good at this. You can do this. You can achieve this.
You is kind. You is smart. You is important.
And if they don't do it, then there may be other problems. Maybe they don't feel freedom in their day-to-day life, or maybe they're just having what we all have as human beings. We didn't feel like getting up that day and doing the thing. In that case, it may require not nagging, but a physically pick them up under the arms if they're small enough. I'm going out with you. We're going to do this together. It may require modeling from the parent. I think if you can put them in an environment where they're motivated to achieve their best because they're worth it, rather than the sort of negative, punitive thing that's always going to be better. If they're really that dead set against it, maybe they're in the wrong thing. One of the quotes that I've often heard and have thought and have said is, let's take any martial art. I've heard it for kendo. Kendo's for everybody. Not everybody's for kendo. Kendo's hard. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody, but not everybody's for jiu-jitsu. Some people don't want to have another person laying on them sweaty and heavy and restricting their breathing. Taekwondo's for everybody. Not everybody's for Taekwondo. Maybe they don't want to get kicked upside the head. It's not an irrational response. I just mean to say that, if it's really that bad, okay, maybe there's a bigger disconnect between the practice and the person. And it's one of those things as parents, we have to sit down and do that. We have to go and assess, well, what's going on here? I can tell you that if you're nagging, you're using the wrong tool. All right, you're trying to walk to the moon. You're not going to get the desired effect no matter how hard you try. Because even if they do it, they're not really going to do it. We have to cultivate something deeper in them, acknowledging their own capacities, their own potential, and understanding that even if they're talented, they need to do the work to get to the final thing. I mean, you can go Star Wars on this one, right? Why did everybody like Luke Skywalker? Because he got shot in the arm by the little training droid. Why did people not like Rey? I think it's because she just showed up and could do everything immediately. Nobody can relate to that. Even Michael Jordan lost some games in high school.
As a senior in high school, he played in the McDonald's Classic.
So let's keep that in mind. If we can get them in love with the process and get them in love with what they're capable of and achieving that and seeing that through, once they can do this thing that I'm discussing, and once they understand that they themselves can be motivated by fear or love. Love is, that motivation is very playful, it's very open. It'll experiment. It'll go, what if we did this? What if we did this other thing? Fear tends to be very focused, narrow, and very short term. It sprints, but it doesn't last a marathon. I mean, fear's useful. We can get through a bad situation with it, but it won't last. It won't last. And so we have to make sure that we're motivating ourselves and modeling that motivation properly when we're raising a warrior.